Hello everyone, it's Daz, and we are to the last Friday of July. This month has went by so fast, and we're in the latter part of the year, and with that being said, it's time for the top 5 craziest stories of the month, and unfortunately, there may not be one for August or the rest of the year with all of the changes. If I do have time somewhere between, I will definitely make one for August. And then September is full circle, so I might stop there. We'll see. But number 5. Man 65 made fake bomb threat to get a date with flight attendant. The Serbian man's telephone call caused Lufthansa's flight LH1411 to be evacuated on Thursday before its takeoff from Belgrade to Frankfurt. All 130 passengers and 5 crew members had to leave the aircraft while it was searched by a special police squad and sniffer dogs. The man, who has not been named, had met 2 flight attendants and invited them for dinner, but they refused. He confessed to the hoax in court on Saturday, saying he had especially liked one of the women, and after he failed to track her down at her hotel, he made a desperate bid to keep her in the country. The police traced his call after he made the threat, and he was arrested a day later. A spokesman for the prosecutor told Serbian media that the prosecution asked for him to be kept in custody pending charges of causing panic and disorder. On Thursday, Serbia's Interior Ministry released a statement about the incident, which said, "This morning at 6 a.m., an unknown person called and reported there was a bomb on the plane bound for Frankfurt. The police are investigating whether it is a false alarm and are also working to identify the person who called." Passengers had an 8-hour delay to their journey after the hoax, with some booking alternative flights rather than wait for their plane to leave. So that's just crazy. The lengths some people will go to get a date, to go after someone, but a bomb threat is a pretty serious way of going about it, and hopefully no one tries that again in the near future. I would be pretty upset if I were one of those people whose flight was delayed for 8 hours and I had somewhere to be. Number 4. Obviously stylish teen wears his bathrobe for his senior portraits. Evan Dennison was just an ordinary teenager in Portage, Indiana, with a dream of becoming a legend. Sure, many teens have that dream, but Dennison believes he has achieved the goal at the tender age of 17 with the help of his trusty bathrobe. The incoming high school senior wore the bathrobe for the senior photos in lieu of some itchy suit and neck-choking tie. "Most graduation pictures I see are really formal and stuff, so I didn't want to do that," Evan told Inside Edition. "I wanted it to be something that was really funny, not so formal, kind of goofy, so I decided it would be way better done in a bathrobe." Instead of informing his mother of his plan to achieve fashion immortality, Dennison sprang it on photographer and cousin Tiffany Clark when she picked him up for a photo session in a nearby field. When Dennison showed up wearing sweats, not khakis or jeans, Clark wondered where his actual clothes were. She told the Indianapolis Star. Dennison promised he would change once they got to their location. He did. Into that beloved bathrobe of his. Clark tried to talk him out of it, to no avail. He's stubborn. He absolutely refused to do anything except for in his bathrobe. "I didn't want to do it, and I couldn't stop laughing," she said, per the Indy Star. "When I get home, I had 95 pictures of him in his bathrobe doing weird stuff." Dennison enjoyed the shoot, but admitted to the Indy Star that it was weird when people he knew drove by. The moment he broke the news to his mom was a little awkward too, especially since his photos went viral after. Clark posted them on Facebook. In a move that probably won't be described by anyone as a shocker, Dennison's mom had chosen not to hang his bathrobe photos anywhere in the house. "She loves that everyone loves them and that they reflect my personality so well, but she's still very unhappy with them as my senior photos," Dennison told Today.com. Still, he and Clark have promised they will eventually take more photos in mom-appropriate clothing, per Today.com. As for the goal of becoming a legend, Dennison said that was never in doubt. "I'll be honest with you, I considered myself a legend before I did this," Dennison told the Indy Star. "This just took it to the next level." I have to say that is an original idea, but I wonder how he's going to feel when he looks back on this in a few years, if he'll still be proud of wearing a bathrobe for the world to see. Either way, he's gone down in internet history, and senior photos are a big deal for many. I just couldn't imagine doing that. I never took formal senior pictures, so it'd be interesting to see. Number 3. Message in bottle travels 2,833 miles across the ocean in 21 years. A Scottish family vacationing on the country's island found a message in the bottle launched from Maine about 20 years earlier. Mike Bolam said he and his family were on the Scottish island of North Uist when they noticed a plastic bottle on the beach. "Hello, my name is Matt Rhodes. Please write back," the message inside read. Bolam was able to find Rhodes on Twitter. The sender, now 34, said he was 13 and living in New Hampshire when he threw the bottle into the ocean in Wells, Maine in 19. The bottle traveled about 2,833 miles across the ocean. "I didn't think it was real until I saw the picture. It was a total shock." Rhodes told the Newburyport News, "That thing has been floating for most of my life. Had I known it would be 20 years later, I would have written something much more substantial." So just thought it was interesting, and I wonder how many other bottles out there are floating around in the ocean that anyone else cast into it. But that is most of his lifetime to have a bottle floating around there. Number 2, loyal dog walks 125 miles with tears in her eyes back to owner who rejected her. A loyal and wounded dog trekked 125 miles through Siberian forests, avoiding bears and wolves as she desperately tried to go home to the owner who had rejected her. Maru, a 1-year-old bull mastiff, had been put on the Trans-Siberian train to take her back to the kennels where she was born after her owner said she was allergic to her and no longer wanted to keep her. But she managed to escape from the train, which was heading west from Krasnoyarsk to Novosibirsk, when she used her paws to open a compartment door and fled as it stopped at a remote station near Ashnitsk. Train staff desperately shouted after the loyal Maru from the platform, but to no avail. In Novosibirsk, and sorry about the horrible pronunciation of a lot of these names in this month's stories, I'm just butchering left and right. Kennel owner Alla Morozova organized a search party to find the lost dog and pleaded for information on social media. And amazingly, 2.5 days later, the exhausted and wounded Maru was discovered at an industrial estate close to home at the owner who rejected her after just 6 months. The dog appeared to be in tears when she was found. She had carefully gone east next to the Trans-Siberian Railway track, the longest in the world, and made it through 125 miles of wild countryside. Alla told the Siberian Times, "Luckily, neither bears ate her nor wolves chewed her up. The dog was very tired. She was lame, her paws were broken, the pads on her feet were damaged, her muzzle was broken. The exhausted pet fell down on a railway embankment in Krasnoyarsk before being found and recognized." Train staff told Alla that Maru had suffered a panic attack and was frightened at the noise of the train and being away from her home and her owners. When the train stopped, she jumped on the compartment door, kicked the handle to open it, almost threw the conductor out of the way. She jumped out like a bullet. When the door opened to the platform, she jumped out into the night, into the Taiga, swampy Siberian forest. Alla is convinced the dog would have made it the whole way back to her old home several miles away if it wasn't for her injuries. "I'm sure she was looking for her house," she said. "Dogs are very attached to people. She did not run to Novosibirsk. She wanted to go to where she lived. She went the right way, even though geographically she has no reference point." Alla also said she was angry that the owner who rejected Maru did not help in the search. Maru was now been reunited with her mother and father at Alla's kennels in Novosibirsk after being driven the whole way back. Alla's friend Alyona Makova is being treated for her injuries. So I just found the story really cute. Again, sorry about the butchering of names, but dogs are loyal. They're a man's best friend. They're adorable, and that kind of loyalty and dedication reminds me of Homeward Bound, and it's just a beautiful story. Number 1. Ancient palace emerges from Iraqi reservoir after water levels fall. An ancient palace has emerged from an Iraqi reservoir after water levels dropped precipitously. A lack of rain and the release of water through the Mosul Dam to relieve dry conditions has led to the Mitanni Empire site being revealed. The site was flooded when the Mosul Dam was built in the mid-1980s before archaeologists were able to examine it. Because of the conditions, a team from Germany and Iraqi Kurdistan have been able to perform an archaeological dig, discovering several rooms inscribed clay tablets and wall paintings. Cuneiform writing on one of the tablets indicates the palace site, called Commune, dates to the Middle Bronze Age, about 1800 BC. Kurdish archaeologist Hassan Ahmad Qasim said, "The find is one of the most important archaeological discoveries in the region in recent decades. We discovered the site in 2010 when the dam had lower water levels, but we couldn't excavate here until now." Ivana Bulgiz of Tübingen Institute for Ancient Near Eastern Studies added, "We have also found remains of wall paintings in bright shades of red and blue. In the 2nd millennium BC, murals were probably a typical feature of palaces in the ancient Near East, but we rarely find them preserved, so discovering wall paintings in Commune are an archaeological sensation. The Mitanni Empire is one of the least researched empires of the ancient Near East. Information on palaces of the Mitanni period is so far only available from Tel Brak in Syria and from the cities of Nuzi and Alaka, both located on the periphery of the empire. Even the capital of the Mitanni Empire has not been identified beyond doubt. Examination of one of the tablets suggests Commune is probably the ancient city of Zahuku, which is mentioned in one ancient Near Eastern source. It would mean that the city must have existed for at least 400 years. The archaeologists say future text finds will hopefully show whether the identification is correct. At its height, a monumental terrace wall of mud bricks was built against the palace's western front to stabilize the sloping terrain. The palace stood on an elevated terrace above the valley, only 20 meters or 66 feet from what was the eastern bank of the Tigris River. Experts say the palace must have been an impressive sight. So, just found it interesting. It wasn't the most odd or weird thing, just more of a shocking story. Of course, I'm sure there's other archaeological finds out there and probably stuff that's been kept or hidden as well that's been found over the years. But I'd like to know what you guys think is the most interesting of the top 5 stories. If there's any stories that I didn't go over that you feel were interesting in this month, let me know. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Take care and God bless.